Well, in this week's Legendary New Mexico, brought to you by TLC Plumbing Utility, we are taking a look at the Maxwell Museum of Anthropology at UNM, which was founded in 1932, and it was the first public museum in the Duke City. Joining us now is David Phillips, the director of the Maxwell Museum of Anthropology. David, thanks for being with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about this museum.
Well, it's an anthropology museum, so what we try to do is not just have objects, but tell stories about the people behind the objects. So, for example, we have a Chinese exhibit right now, but we don't just want to have the Chinese pots and say, aren't they beautiful, although they are, and worth visiting just because they are beautiful, but to say something about Chinese culture, about the Chinese Americans of New Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're taking a look here at some of the photos and exhibitions here. Now, you also focus on prehistoric Native Americans of the Southwest. Tell about some of the exhibitions that are on display there.
We have a permanent exhibit which you can go to anytime. By the way, it's free, and you can see an exhibit that'll tell you something about the history of the people who were here originally, and how long they were here, what their lives were like, the kinds of objects that they made that we find today.
Okay. And then obviously also talking about the Chinese exhibits and some of the exhibitions there. What does that tell us about how that population is made up, who we are as New Mexicans today?
It's interesting. Very often people think of New Mexico as having three cultures.
Yeah.
The Native American, the Hispanic, and the Anglo. That's too simple. There's an African American component, there's an Asian American component, and the list goes on and on. We're an extremely diverse state, even by our own standards. And one of the stories we're telling right now in the museum is the story of the Chinese Americans who came here in the 1800s and who are an important part of our community today.
How did they come here in the 1800s?
The big wave of immigration happened when the railroads came through because they got jobs building railroads. But as soon as the railroads got here, they went into the towns, they became farmers, they became miners, whatever jobs were available. And like everybody else who came to New Mexico or the United States, the real goal was just to make a living and have families.
Yeah, to just live. And I think a lot of people can use this museum to find out a little bit more about their history. Now, speaking of some amazing works, you have brought one in. We're going to take a shot of it here in a moment. As we do, David, tell us a little bit about this piece that you brought in.
Okay, this was made in northwest Chihuahua by the Casas Grandes culture.
Okay.
Although that culture actually extended into New Mexico. It was made between 1300 and 1400 AD. And it's a culture that then disappeared, and we have some thoughts about where they went, but we're not quite sure. It's one of those mysteries that archaeologists keep working on.
Absolutely. So if we want to come out, explore some of this history for ourselves, where's the museum located on UNM's campus?
It's on the west side of campus in what's known as the Anthropology Building. And if people can find us, which is easier thanks to the internet, we actually have a few free parking spaces.
Really?
They may be the only free parking spaces on all of UNM.
Wow.
For our museum visitors, because we want to make it possible for people to come enjoy our museum for absolutely free.
That's fantastic. You don't even have to pay for parking to go check this out, guys. So again, for more information about the Maxwell Museum, head over to kasa.com. And of course, there you can also find information about Legendary New Mexico, where to tune in, where to find our next episode.